Thanks for tuning into this edition of Bridgewater Now. I'm John Locke. As you may know, sports betting is about to get underway here in Massachusetts starting on Tuesday in 3 locations. MGM in Springfield, Encore Boston Harbor, and Plainridge Park Casino in Plainville are the first places that will be open for sports wagers, but only in person. Mobile sports betting is still a couple of months away, but this is the start of something that will have some local effects later on this year. Rainham Park will be the site of a 30,000 square foot sports book run by Caesars Entertainment. The move still has to be approved by the Gaming Commission, but the plan is to open a temporary facility at the site before opening the larger facility later on this summer. Now, with the state preparing for the start of sports gambling, I talked with Joe Murray from 98.5 The Sports Hub about his initial thoughts when it was actually signed into law and what he thinks the first few days will look like at the different sports books. All right, joining me right now is somebody that you can listen to on 98.5 The Sports Hub, the Over Under podcast. You can listen to that on Saturday mornings from 7 to 9 a.m. Also watch him on Weekly Spread on NBC Sports Boston, talking to Joe Murray. Joe, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, John.
So this is an exciting time for you, I'd imagine, as someone that follows sports betting. Back in August of 2022, August 10th, Governor Charlie Baker at the time signed the gaming bill into law. What were your initial thoughts when this finally became a real thing here, sports betting in Massachusetts?
So it was a little unbelievable to me. It took a long time for this to happen. Obviously, it took until the last day. They extended the hours, and they finally got it approved. I think that Massachusetts realized the amount of money this can bring in for the state and help elsewhere, bring in jobs, etc. So on that side of it, I'm glad to see it happen. And I was a bit surprised, though. This is something that's been pushed back for years. It took a little while to come up with a date. They said that they hope to get it done by 2023, and here they are, last day of 2023. Sports betting will be live here in Massachusetts, and I think there's a lot of excitement all around.
And that's in-person betting because I believe mobile betting is in March of this year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, they're saying March, so we'll see. I mean, that would be March Madness when college basketball starts up. It's good though. Here we are now. I mean, there's going to be sports betting available in person, like you mentioned, and they can bet on the Super Bowl. So the Mass Gaming Commission said that they set a date. Here it is, ready to go. And again, in-person betting. I know that there's some people who may use offshore accounts, and it's always great to just go and bet on your phone. But this is at least the opportunity to get the experience of getting a ticket at the window, putting up your own money, and hey, why don't you hang out and watch the game while you do it? So I think that's going to be a great experience.
And I saw some of the video from Encore and some of the different Boston news stations, and the place looks immaculate. So I can't imagine what it's going to look like the first few weeks. But speaking of the first few weeks, what do you think the initial launch of sports betting is going to look like? I heard your co-host, Dan Lifschatz from the Over Under podcast on Toucher and Rich say, if you're planning on betting on January 31st, you probably don't want to do that because I feel like this is just going to be a whole bunch of people trying to get in on the new craze.
Yeah. All right. So Dan, I love Dan. And all he's trying to tell you is that if you're going to bet on the Super Bowl, like go on a lighter day. I think this is something people have circled. I know that 98.5 The Sports Hub is going to be there. Some of our competitors, other television stations, other radio stations. So you name it. That's going to be a party. I'm excited. I'm going to be there. I will be there. I'll be doing a show 10 to 2 from the Encore that day. So yeah, there's going to be lines. I mean, you have to understand that they're doing some sort of soft launch on the 30th. They want to get some kinks out of the way, but the biggest thing is, yes, I like to go to the cage. I want to walk up, give them my money, and get a ticket. That's exactly the process. You go in, you'll tell them the number of the game you want. You'll have that nice little slip. And you hold that, right? It says like you're holding on to that, hoping that you can cash in your bet. There's plenty of kiosks there. I'm at the Encore every week. It's a spectacular facility. For those coming from your area, the parking is amazing. You go right in. You can also valet right up front. It's extremely easy. I know people sometimes don't like driving into Boston. It's right at the Rotary where the Sullivan Square in the Schrafts building. Very easy to get in there. easy to get around. The bar's outstanding, the food's outstanding, and I'm telling you, it's a really great experience, and I can't wait for it to kick off. And if you are betting on the Super Bowl, though, yeah, you might want to go on a day where the lines aren't, a mile long.
Try like a Thursday morning at 7 a.m. So you had some tips in there, but for anyone that's watching this that may want to take part in sports betting, maybe not the Super Bowl, maybe there's, Celtics or Bruins or different futures things. There's a lot of terms when it comes to sports betting. So as someone that has dedicated a lot of time to sports betting, are there any betting basics, if you will, that you would suggest to people watching this that want to take part, starting on January 31st?
Yep, and here we go with a cheap plug. But if you go to our podcast, the Over Under podcast, we did a betting 101. So if anybody wants to get all the details, but what you'll need to know for that day is there's a VIG. That is the tax that the house puts on a bet. So if you see 110 to win 100, you have to put up $110 to win 100. So I think VIG is kind of one of the big numbers, just so you know. And again, that's just a tax you pay up front. It's kind of what the house makes. And then there's straight bet. That's just a straight bet. As we mentioned, 110, 100 parlays, which I know, listen, Vegas and all these places were made off of parlays, but you can hit, $50 bet, get you $130. So, teaser is another one where you can get 6 on each side. These are just the simple terms of type of bets you can make. I like to keep it simple. I think the most profitable way to bet and safest way to bet is just going right up to the window, doing an individual game bet. You can do multiple individuals if you want. But I think that's the whole thing I probably should mention at the top was when this whole thing got passed, and now here we are ready to kick it off. It's safe. And when you get in there, everything's safe. It's all legal. You're not meeting Mr. Pickles down the road or anything. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. And I'm very excited about this. And I'm glad that I can talk to people like you and educate your audience, because betting's here. When you watch these games, you want to know what the betting line is. Sometimes to hang around, what was the spread? Hey, what's the total on that? And especially with the Super Bowl, people are going to bet on the national anthem, right? The coin toss. What color Gatorade? Will there be a safety in the game? Like, there are all these bets. It's fun. Betting can be fun as long as you're smart about it. And this is the safest way to do it from the casino, and even one of their kiosks that they have as well.
And obviously bet responsibly. I was telling you before we hit record here, I dipped my toe in the sports betting water, betting on the Celtics, and I had a guy in front of me that put something like $7,000 to $10,000 just on the Cowboys game alone. So since San Francisco won that, I don't know where he is right now. So maybe he's watching this.
Oh yeah.
Best of luck to you. All right, Joe Murray, thank you very much for taking a few minutes and talking to us.
Thank you so much, John. I love the last name, Luck. We're going to need it.
Again, thanks to Joe for spending a few minutes with us. And as mentioned earlier, this all gets underway coming up on Tuesday, January 31st. Thanks for watching Bridgewater Now. I'm John Locke.